Historic moves in the silver price and the gold price. We are witnessing history in the making. You might be wondering, will it continue? In this video, we're going to look at all the reasons why, many examples why things are changing right now in the world of silver. We even have one of the world's biggest banks uttering the words $309 silver in 2026, that's a real possibility. We'll dig into that. We're going to hear from China and what's happening there, which is really setting the tone for what we are experiencing right now. I'll explain it all to you. Thank you for being here. By the way, we did reach 70,000 subscribers on the Ron's Basement channel. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, and turn on the bell notification. I woke up this morning, and of course, right, I think about my family. I think about a lot of things, and I often think about silver. And this I found very astonishing. Let's start with what's happening in China and why it's so important. And then later, we are going to hear from an actual Chinese distributor of silver and gold and hear what he has to say. Make sure we got you on the right screen here, which we do. Okay, I was shocked this morning when I saw the report from Oriental Ghost, but there's something even more interesting in this report besides this. $87 spot silver in China. Okay, that's the Shanghai Gold Exchange. That's their spot market. Now, also, this is not the real interesting thing, but of note, the SHFE, the Shanghai Futures Exchange, has a lower price. So the futures market is lower. That means that China is officially in a state of backwardation. Again, that's a very good sign for the silver price because that means people are worried about getting silver in the future, and they'll pay a premium for it right now, which is the opposite of the normal situation on any between a futures market and a spot market, which is called contango. So we are backwardated in China, but that's not what people are finding interesting, and I think you'll find interesting. But down here is what's interesting, the change in the vault, okay, at the Shanghai Futures Exchange, down 88,000 kilograms. Okay, look, that's almost what, 15-20% of the total amount. The Shanghai Gold Exchange down 44,000 kilograms. Not quite as high of a percentage, but probably 6 or 7%. The world is running out of silver. Oh, and by the way, I have something very interesting to say to you. Congratulations if you own silver or gold for that matter, because it's almost statistically impossible that you aren't in the green, that you aren't in the profit, right? And that's a great thing for you and I, us basement dwellers that have owned silver, gold for a long time. But what's really, really important for us to remember, the powerful thing behind that is because, guys, now that nobody out there is losing money on their silver investment, or very, very few people, that means there's very little overhead resistance. What that means is there's nobody out there, right? Not you, not me, not anybody who's thinking, oh, I bought silver when it was $95 an ounce, and when it gets back to $95, I'm going to sell. I'm going to get my fiat back. I'm going to get my paper money back. There's nobody out there thinking that. That creates a situation where there's very little overhead resistance, which is also why, whether you're talking about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, whatever, that whenever anything gets to new all-time high territories, it typically keeps creating more and more all-time highs. Now, look, don't make any financial decisions based on anything I'm saying. I'm not a financial advisor, any of that good stuff, but that's my truth. I see that we still have a great runway ahead for the price of silver and for the price of gold, and that's just one of the reasons. Let's go check. They're throwing everything. Let's talk about the paper markets, the futures market. They're giving it all they got, right? They're giving old Bessie full throttle, trying to knock down the price. Look at the recent data. The numbers that are coming through are astounding. This comes from our friend, the Dude, okay, who shares with us that yesterday, the quote-unquote silver market, come on, dude. Well, no, you put it in there. I'm sorry. Traded 760 million paper ounces yesterday, almost as much as the entire mining sector mines in one whole year. I know I say it all the time, but guys, that's what they are throwing everything they have at this paper price, trying to get it down. And we are in a new paradigm. We are in a new era for precious metals, and it gets even better. We're going to talk about China. We're going to talk about India, but let's go straight to China and hear from a silver distributor what he's observing in the Chinese silver market. This is super interesting. I'll keep my mouth shut. It's about 1 minute long. I believe this was shared by, King Kong 9888. I want to say thank you to him for providing these video updates from China. Super respected and super reliable person within the gold and silver community. King Kong 9888. And let me get this on full screen for your viewing pleasure. And let's spend 80 seconds in China and hear what's going on with silver in China. And then we're going to talk a little bit about something really cool from India.
Recently, a very strange phenomenon has occurred. It's never happened before. What is it? A few days ago, Chicago raised precious metal margins. Silver prices pulled back sharply. Many were happy, thinking they could easily buy the dip. But when you ask about physical silver, each one has a premium of $1, $2, or $3. Official prices have dropped, yet physical prices have risen. What unspeakable secret truly lies behind all of this? Today, I'll tell you. When spot prices are high, many people's first reaction is that sales are playing tricks, but the truth is far from as simple as you might imagine. This entire process is just like pushing dominoes, one thing leading directly to the next. The first domino to fall was the silver mining factories. They suddenly discovered that their production capacity was already fully booked 3 months or even half a year in advance. The second card, those refineries and large wholesalers suddenly found they couldn't get any goods. Then came the third card, silver bar sellers. When we sell, we need to restock our inventory, but they found raw material costs suddenly skyrocketed. So what now? There's no other option. We have to reprice all the inventory in the store. Ultimately, this pressure is then passed on to us ordinary buyers, resulting in spot premiums that are frighteningly high. This, in fact, is the market sending a clear signal. When the premium on physical silver begins to decouple from international spot prices, it indicates a problem at the very source of the supply chain, meaning they can no longer obtain the metal at its original official price. The international silver price we see today is essentially what we call paper silver. It represents a mere paper contract, a simple promise.
Okay. Do you think maybe we're in a new world for the price of silver? Look, we talked about this, and I want to back up to something super important. We talked about this a week and a half ago, right here in the basement. At the time, the price of silver on the Shanghai Gold Exchange in China was very close to what it was in the United States, even in the spot and futures market. And what we talked about was the fact that now that was actually a good thing. There used to be, now we're experiencing it again, but back then we said there used to be a big premium, 10, 15, 20%, not 20, but 10, 15% higher price in China than in the West, and that the Chinese price had sucked, right? The Western paper price closer to the real price. And that's exactly what he's talking about right now. He's like, hey, that's great that the COMEX and the LBMA want to say silver $70 an ounce. But the reality is that if you want to get physical silver, it's going to cost you 80, or is that right? Earlier, $87 in China. Guys, it's a different world. The physical market is taking over. Let's run out and take a quick look at what's going on. I apologize. We got so much happening. I forgot to do this at the beginning. Let's go out and get a look at the futures price. Oh my gosh, $80.84. Make sure yep, we got you up there. Yep, $80.84. This is the March contract. This should be higher than the spot price, which is, no, higher. Wow, $81.26. Did I share that? Yes, I did. This is the world spot price. So we are officially slightly backwardated. Again, that signals very good things for the strength of the spot physical market for silver. So it's getting interesting. Oh, I promised you some information about India. We're going to do that next. Before, though, I want to say thank you to First Mint for sponsoring Ron's Basement, making these live streams possible. They're a silver mint where you can buy world-class silver products. They produce all original pieces. They're in Las Vegas, Nevada. They are right here. But what's interesting is that they're owned by First Majestic Silver, who mines the silver in Mexico, sends it to First Mint, and then it goes directly to you. What I'm hearing from you in the community is that you are just totally pleased with your experience with First Mint. I call it a premium retail experience. Their prices are great. Their service is great. Their products are all original, all beautiful. Here's a 10-ounce folded American flag bar, just one example. And part of the proceeds from the sales of this go to support the Folds of Honor Foundation. So if you're looking to get some silver, First Mint's in a unique position, right? Because they actually mine the silver. By the way, it never gets touched by the COMEX or LBMA. Check out First Mint. You can see it right there, right behind me. And tell them you're from Ron's Basement. Okay. India. Everybody's talking about China. What about India? Right? Don't forget, guys, India is importing massive amounts of silver. India has 1.4 billion, maybe now 1.5 billion people. India, also has a massively expanding GDP and economy. We're talking about hundreds of millions of people entering the consumer class. But why does that matter? It matters because Indian people love gold and love silver. So when we talk about all this China stuff, that's great. And it's massively important. But let's not forget about our friends in India, who we've not been talking about as much lately. They're also a massive demand source as we move forward for silver. $309 silver. You want to know who's saying that? Oh, not some kook in his basement in St. Louis. Huh? No, not some random analyst out there. How about Bank of America? We're going to dig into this a lot more in future live streams, but this is somewhat hot off the presses, and we need to pay attention to what they are saying. This came from KITCO. Gold Silver HQ, $309 silver. Bank of America thinks it's possible. Here's the headline. And again, I'll give you more information on this in some future streams, but gold will be the primary hedge and performance driver in 2026. Silver could top out between, $135 and $309. That's from Bank of America's Mr. Widmer. Can you believe that Bank of America is actually saying that we could see a situation where we have silver at $309. Now, I'm going to show you something now. I'm going to show you something next. A whole different way to look at the relationship between silver and gold. We're all used to the gold to silver ratio. How many ounces of silver does it take for you to buy 1 ounce of gold, right? Which is around 60 right now, 58, 60, something like that. But there's another way to look at it in another chart, which I think clearly shows that we've got a big runway ahead of us potentially in this relationship between silver and gold. And we love gold. Gold's the grandpappy of the precious metals. It's like our precious metals grandpa, right? A lot of you are both gold and silver people. I love gold. I love silver. I love the precious metal mining stocks. Speaking of precious metal mining stocks, they haven't quite been keeping up with these massive increases in the silver and the gold price. It's going to happen one way or the other. Either the gold and silver price come down, which we don't think that's likely, or the price of the precious metal mining stocks goes up. We'll see what happens. I do want to say thank you, speaking of precious metal mining stocks, to First Mining Gold. That's a stock I've owned long before they sponsored my channel. They're a development stage gold company in Canada. They have 2 huge multi-million ounce projects in Canada. Safe jurisdiction. Springpole in Ontario and Duparquet located in Quebec, both of which have millions of ounces of gold in the ground, and they're working through the catalyst-rich development process with both of those projects. You can learn more about them at firstmininggold.com. Now, speaking of gold, this relationship between silver and gold that I promised you, this comes from somebody who is, right, up, wrong one, hold on here, wrong one, We'll come back to that. Don't look at that. Here we go. Now it's on your screen. Who is definitely in that handful of super respected analysts in the gold and silver community. Jesse Colombo from the Bubble Report. He puts out a Substack that's like breaking all world records. He says, are you worried that silver is too high and about to crash? He said this a few days ago. Well, it's dirt cheap price versus gold says the exact opposite, indicating that silver's bull market still has many, many strong years ahead. That's music to our ears, Jesse. Thank you. Check out this full list. He's got a full list, but here's just one that he's showing. This chart, guys, is the silver to gold ratio. So you divide the gold price, you divide the silver price by the gold price. And when you look at this, right, look how low we are. I'd never really looked at it this way myself. Here we are right now, okay? There we are right now. I'll uncircle that, but just so you can see. There, I'll draw an arrow. Hold on. Yeah, right there is where we are. But if you look back, and this goes back to as far as 1960s, right, 1980, even 2011, okay, when you look at those periods where we are right now and draw a line, a crooked line, but still a line nonetheless, you can see that there's been many times in the last 50 years that we were way, way higher, where the silver price relative to the gold price from a percentage perspective went way, way higher. So when you hear these people saying, oh, silver's in a bubble, you silver people are crazy. Well, we know there's a different side to that story. And let's look at another visual way to look at silver that is mind-blowing, okay? Wow. Don't forget, silver, okay, silver is a monetary metal. Okay, and great for that. It's been money longer than gold, as far as I know. Correct me on that, but I'm 99% sure I'm right. It's an investment metal. It's a beautiful metal. It's used, but it's also used so much. Wait, let's look at this. Let's look at this chart, because this will, and then we'll talk about what it means and what I think the real kicker is in all of this. Here we go. This is from Mining Visuals. Okay, I know it's a little small, but bear with me here. I'll get the crayons out and I'm going to explain to you why we can be so excited. Okay, these blue areas show the sources of demand. It goes all the way back to 2016, all the way through today when you're hanging out down here in the basement with me. This first bottom section, you can see I've underlined there, that is photovoltaics. That is solar panels. You can see that section, kind of ate up that much. The next one is electrical and electronics. I'll underline that. The other is other industrial. This section up here is jewelry. This section up here is coin and bar demand. Okay, as you can see, these blue shaded sections over all those years represent demand for silver. Now, here's two kickers, okay? This white line right here, this white line starts right there and goes like this. I'm going to draw over it. That's the mining production over that period of time. As you can see, it's actually trended downward a little bit. This upper white line is when you add in total supply, which would include recycling. It's very difficult and very expensive to recycle silver, okay? Now, do you notice something? Number one, the amount of silver coming out of the mines has been trending downwards, but we've got this massive deficit, which everybody knows about. Now, here's what I want you to think about that I know is so critical. Let's go down here and think about these sources of demand. Do you think demand for silver from photovoltaics will go up? Yes. Electrical and electronics, right? All these data centers that are being built, all the chips that are needed. Yes. Okay. Let's talk about some of the sleepers. I've talked about this many times. Jewelry. I think demand for silver jewelry will also be going up. Check. Silver jewelry. I happen to think, I know it's not worth as much as gold jewelry, not yet, but I think it's just as beautiful. I don't get mad at me if you're a gold person, but I think silver, I think we're going to see a massive, and I said this 6 weeks ago, spike in demand for silver from jewelry as well. Okay. And we've got coin and bar demand. That can, all these areas, this is my point. When I looked at this, I'm reading through this list, this demand list, and I'm like, every single one of them has potential. And I think I would predict are going to go up in the coming year to 2 years. It's absolutely incredible. And then, you know, what's not even on this list? Here we go. You know, what's not even on that list of demand sources for silver? All the while, the supply is going to remain stagnant. It might go up a little bit, but guys, we won't go down that path. But, you know, there's not a knob at the silver mine that can be turned to make more silver. It takes a decade, 5 years, a decade for a silver company to actually realize an increase in silver production. They can maybe dial it up a tiny bit, but the reality is the pipeline for new silver projects is super, super low. But wait, there's more, okay? Because what's not on that chart that I just showed you is what I think is going to be the biggest sleeper surprise, okay, source of demand for silver in the next 5 to 10 years. And that will be tokenized silver. When they put silver, you don't have to like crypto, you don't have to buy it. I'm not saying anything, but as that happens, as they tokenize silver that is backed 1-for-1 with real silver in real vaults, okay, and they're doing it with gold. Don't forget, Tether, the world's biggest crypto company, is also the world's biggest buyer of physical gold outside of central banks. They were the #1 buyer of physical gold because they've tokenized gold and they store it all in a big vault in Switzerland. The same thing can happen with silver, okay? Nobody's talking about it. I think the two sleepers are jewelry and tokenization as we go out 5 years. They don't even, but the good news is they don't even need to happen because we're already in a deficit. Oh, brother, I tell you what, the future's so bright, we got to wear shades. Okay, let's talk about demand around the world for gold and silver. I'm going to share with you some news from Australia that you can only see here in Ron's Basement. It came from one of our viewers. He took some pictures from Australia, and I'm not going to share his real name because I didn't ask his permission, but I did take out the text from this was an email I got. And he said, "Hi, Ron, I love your show." We're going to call him, what was I going to call him? Hold on a second, Mr. B. Okay. Love your show. Basement dweller, stacker in Sydney, Australia. Our bullion shops are taking forever to deliver. I'm waiting on 4 separate orders. I dragged my family to ABC Bullion today for a 2.5-hour wait. They were not impressed. And here's a couple pictures. Look at these people. Right? At least they're in the shade, sitting down, right? Waiting in line to buy precious metals. And here's another picture as well. Look at that. Wow. And there's the ABC Bullion right up there. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me down here in the basement. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. We are in for a while. Okay, there's upstairs Susie. Everybody say hi to upstairs Susie. I'm going to ring the gong. Hey, Susie, how many thumbs up do we have? Over. All right, guys, let's get 10 more thumbs up, and I'm going to ring the gong. I know we got it. This is the golden gong that brings us good luck, a little tradition that we have down here in the basement. Listen to it resonate. I know. No, I did not make the sheep noise today. Maybe tomorrow. You never know, right? Most important, right? It's a big deal when you join me down here in the basement. All serious. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your support. It means the world. We're in for a wild ride. Remember, please be prepared for anything. All right. Whenever you're investing, be responsible. As a friend, I'd like to tell you that. Don't expose yourself to too much risk, too much leverage, anything like that. Right? We are going to have some volatility, no doubt, in the future in the precious metals markets. We've experienced a really great period of time. I think the great times do continue. But again, nothing goes straight up in a straight line. So anyhow, take care. All right. Be good. And I'll see you. Yes, you, the one and only, next time. Thank you.